how fear keeps parents feeling trapped by their adult child. So I want to describe a pattern. It starts with a young adult is not stepping up to the plate. And why aren't they stepping up? Usually it's because they're overwhelmed by the idea of striking out. It's hard to step up to the plate when people are watching to see how you do. Maybe you haven't put in enough batting practice. Maybe the last two or few times you were so confident it was going to be easy that you were just going to get up there and hit it right out of the park. But instead, uh, you took those huge swings, you missed the ball completely. Maybe you even lost your balance and fell over. And it felt like everyone was watching, maybe even laughing at you. That's hard to come back from. So now they can't bear to get back up there again, right? Instead of stepping up again, instead of putting in the work, they avoid it, right? They don't step up to the plate. They don't keep swinging until they get a hit. Now, watching all of this as a parent, as a parent, you're frustrated, you're worried, you're fed up with what has been going on. You know something needs to change. You know you need to do something. You need to set a limit, stand your ground, have the tough conversations, but you don't. At least not in the way that it needs to be done. Why? Because you are afraid. See, I was talking to some parents the other day. They were telling me about their son. He was very intelligent. He was a very kind-hearted young man. But early on, he struggled in college. He became overwhelmed, and it led to a major depressive episode that required hospitalization. Fast forward almost 10 years, 10 years, he's still been moving in and out of their home, never finishing college, never holding down a job for like more than a year. And currently he's still living with them. They told me they don't even go near his room because it's such a disaster zone, and they said you can smell the stink even before you get close, right? They couldn't handle this anymore. He was working a part-time job, but outside of that, he mostly just stays in his room, gaming on the internet, doing basically nothing. So the parents, they told me, we know what we need to do. We need to set boundaries. We need him to start paying for things. We need him to set a date and to move out. But every time they try to have that conversation, maybe things get better for a little while, but then it goes right back to how it was before. I want you to know, and I want you to hear what this mom said. She said, I know we need to set better boundaries. We need him to start paying for things. We need him to move out and to support himself. But I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can get up and go to work without someone telling him. I don't think he can keep a clean space. I don't think he'll ever leave an apartment and ever socialize. I'm scared that if we make him move out right now, it would be a catastrophic failure. And it would lead him into a deep depression, and then he'd be back at the hospital. That was her fear. Then she said, I need him doing these things when he's living with us, right? Hear that again. I need him to start doing these things while he's living with us so that I know that he can do them on his own. She wanted to see consistency before she felt okay with him moving out. But no matter how many times they would ask him, he would get upset and nothing was really changing. So she was telling me she felt manipulated and trapped. I've talked to a lot of parents in this very same position, or at least very similar. Maybe not exactly what's going on, but they feel very much like they're in that trap. So I told them something that I've told many parents. You say you need to set boundaries, but what you're describing is wanting for your child to change first. You want to see them clean their room, hold a full-time job. You want to see them cut back on smoking weed, be more disciplined, socialize more, and then once they do all that, then you'll feel comfortable moving forward. But that puts you in a position where you can't move forward until something happens that is completely out of your control. Right? And when that's your position, you're trapped. You are at the mercy of your child's choices and behaviors. If you are waiting for your adult child to change so that you can feel okay, well, that's what's keeping you trapped. What you're really saying in that situation is, we need you to change so that we don't feel anxious and afraid. And from that place, you either will become very controlling, like trying to force change, or you're going to find yourself avoiding the situation, where you're walking on eggshells. You're avoiding conversations. You're hoping it's going to get better, or you're just turning your head. And when that doesn't work, when things don't change, then you're likely to swing back to that controlling position again. None of those cycles, right? That cycle does not lead to growth. Learning comes from action. It comes from experience. It comes from struggling through something new. So I told this mom, I said, look, boundaries are not about making somebody else change their behavior. Boundaries are about you changing your behavior. It's about defining the line, right? What is yours to take care of and what is not yours to take care of. What you are responsible for and what they are responsible for. Uh, so let's talk about that fear cycle, because that's very important, right? I really want you to understand, because sometimes this sneaks up on us, and as parents we don't realize when it's happening, because that fear cycle is a very real thing, right? You have seen your child struggle. You have seen them in pain. You have seen them overwhelmed. You have seen them fail. And because of that, you're afraid, right? You're afraid they won't be able to handle more responsibility. And honestly, your concerns are valid because you have seen it, right? You've seen it firsthand. So when you step back, they don't step up, right? And that happens over and over. You step back, they don't step up, and then you feel like you need to protect them from crashing, from burning, from falling apart, right? You want to protect them from those things. And that is why so many parents struggle to set limits, or they struggle to follow through, right? Some set limits, but they can't follow through with them because they're afraid. They're afraid their child will fall apart. They're afraid something terrible will happen. They're afraid of losing the relationship, and they're afraid it's going to be their fault. I hear all the what ifs, right? When I'm talking with parents, they give me all the what ifs. What if they can't handle it? What if they fail? What if they get in trouble? What if they stop talking to me? Here's the reality. This is hard to hear, but this is the reality. There is no way to move forward without accepting that there is some risk. Your adult child will struggle, and you will see them struggle. But I want to give you a different way of looking at it. Right? They need that struggle. They need that pressure to grow. That doesn't mean you cut them off. That doesn't mean you abandon them. That doesn't mean they have to do everything all at once. And it definitely doesn't mean that they have to do it alone. But they do have to start taking steps. And they take steps when you stop taking them for them. True support is not enabling, right? They don't learn how to ride a bike by watching you ride it, right? And they don't learn how to ride a bike if you never let go. At some point, you got to let go of that bike. And they're going to wobble, they're going to panic, and they're going to fall. And then what do? Right? You encourage them, you believe in them, you help them get back up and try again and try again, right? Some learn more quickly than others, but if you keep trying, they figure it out. Listen, I'm not trying to minimize how hard this is, but this is how people learn, right? This is how your adult child is going to learn. This is how they're going to grow this process. And if you stay focused on the worst case scenarios, it'll keep you from doing what you need to do, right? So as we wrap up, instead of focusing on everything that could go wrong, I want you to think about what could go right. Your adult child starts taking responsibility. They gain confidence. They build competence. They gain momentum. And instead of feeling distant and angry, they begin to feel supported and even grateful. And here's an important part. You get parts of your life back. You learn where to step in and where to step back. You feel stronger, more grounded, and that's why you do this. That's why you set boundaries, right? It's for your kid to grow and for you to get parts of yourself back, for you to grow, right? For you to know how to support them and love them and maintain that relationship and the true kind of support where they move forward. So one last thing. This isn't quick and it's not easy, right? It's a process. Better than before, then better than before, then better than before, right? It's over time, it's building, right? Always taking steps, the next step, the next step. You don't want to get stuck when your fear is sabotaging that process of taking steps. Now, there are times when everyone gets aligned, right? Everyone's aligned on the goal and the purpose. And in those moments, it can actually move faster than what you would expect. I've seen that happen many times. It's usually small step, small step. We got to work through the tension. We got to have a couple wins, and then it can really take off. But you can't give up. Don't give up. And that's why I'm glad you're here. So stay connected here in this group. Keep learning, keep growing. And like I said, if you want to take things to the next level, get on that email list. I put the link in here.